shocking clue may have just changed everything we thought we knew about the situation overseas. We have been told that our favorite veteran super spy, Anna, is quietly resting in a high-security mental health facility in France. The official story claims she is healing, slowly putting the shattered pieces of her psyche back together after enduring unimaginable psychological torture. We were led to believe that she was just biding her time, waiting for the legal red tape to be cleared by Willow so she could finally pack her bags, board a commercial flight, and return to the warm embrace of her friends. But, guys, something isn't adding up anymore. The pristine image of a recovering victim waiting for salvation is completely shattering before our very eyes. A new detail could expose the truth, and it paints a picture so dark, so terrifying, and so completely out of character that it forces us to reevaluate every single thing we have seen over the past few months. What if the heroic, law-abiding woman we all know and love is already gone, replaced by something far more dangerous? We are constantly told that trauma changes people, but we rarely see the true, ugly extent of that transformation. The writers have been leaving breadcrumbs, subtle little hints that the light inside Anna has been entirely extinguished by the darkness she was forced to endure. The residents of Port Charles are busy preparing for a joyful homecoming, completely oblivious to the fact that they might be welcoming back a ruthless stranger. Let us look at the specific clue that blew this entire investigation wide open. It is a seemingly minor detail about a routine medical evaluation that occurred behind the locked doors of that French facility. Two highly trained doctors walked into a secure room to check on their high-profile patient. They believed, based on weeks of observation, that Anna was perfectly stable, docile, and compliant. They thought she was just a fragile woman on the mend, putting on the perfect facade of a recovering victim who had finally accepted her treatment and was ready to rejoin society. But that's where things become interesting. The clue isn't a secret message she whispered, nor is it a hidden document she smuggled out. The clue is her immediate, explosive, and highly calculated physical reaction to their presence. In a fraction of a second, that perfect, compliant facade completely vanished. Anna did not just have a panic attack or a sudden emotional breakdown. She violently and systematically incapacitated both of those medical professionals. This was not the frantic, clumsy struggling of a terrified patient trying to escape a scary room. This was a highly calculated, tactical takedown executed flawlessly by a master spy who had been secretly conserving her strength and mapping out every single vulnerability in her environment. She neutralized two healthy adults with lethal precision, secured her exit, and vanished into the wind. The sheer brutality and efficiency of this act is the ultimate clue that tells us exactly where her head is at right now. Now, let us start connecting these dots, because this is where the puzzle gets incredibly sinister and fascinating. If you ask me, this violent breakout was never simply about escaping a restrictive hospital environment. If this detail about her flawlessly attacking the doctors is true, it changes her entire fundamental motive. We have to ask ourselves, why use such extreme force? If she genuinely just wanted to go home to Port Charles, why would she commit a violent crime to leave a facility she was already on the verge of being legally discharged from? Willow had already pulled the necessary strings to clear her name. All Anna had to do was smile, nod, and wait a few more days for the paperwork to process. It may not be a coincidence that she chose to strike at the exact moment she realized her captors and tormentors were still actively operating without consequence. By assaulting those doctors and fleeing the facility, she has effectively made herself a wanted fugitive all over again. She deliberately chose to burn her bridges and operate outside the confines of the law. This could explain a lot about the eerie, unsettling silence coming from Europe. If she were simply a traumatized victim fleeing a bad medical situation, she would have immediately reached out to her trusted contacts in the intelligence community or her loyal friends back home. She would have called for an extraction team, but she hasn't made a single phone call. That makes her absolute silence incredibly suspicious. She is not lost, and she is not wandering aimlessly through the European countryside. She is actively using her decades of elite espionage training to completely erase her digital and physical footprint. She is hiding in plain sight, moving through the shadows, and ensuring that no one can track her movements. Not the authorities, not her friends, and certainly not her enemies. The bigger question is not where she is hiding, but what she is preparing to do now that she is completely off the grid and unburdened by the rules of engagement she used to follow so strictly. There may be more to this story than a simple prison break. This looks like the beginning of a war. So, what is really going on here? Guys, I think we are looking at a massive, terrifying reality that is about to shake the very foundation of this show. The big theory here is that the legendary hero, the unwavering moral compass who always fought for justice within the system, is dead. In her place, a ruthless, vengeance-driven ghost has been born. The intense psychological torture and physical confinement she endured didn't just hurt her, it completely shattered her fundamental belief in the justice system. She has realized that the law, the agencies, and the rules are entirely inadequate when it comes to dealing with true monsters who manipulate the system from the inside. She no longer believes that the authorities can protect the innocent or adequately punish the wicked. Because of this profound psychological shift, she has decided to become the judge, the jury, and the executioner. This is the massive secret hiding just beneath the surface. Anna is not trying to find her way home. She is launching a covert, unilateral, and highly lethal assassination and psychological warfare campaign against the men who systematically destroyed her life. She is going rogue in the most absolute and terrifying sense of the word, abandoning every moral code she ever swore to uphold. Her targets are incredibly clear, and she is hunting them with a singular, terrifying focus. First on her list is Ross, the manipulative mastermind who orchestrated her captivity and twisted her mind. But Ross is not the only one marked for destruction. Cassius, the imposter wearing a dead man's face and mocking everything she holds dear, is firmly in her crosshairs. And Jens, the ruthless mercenary who thinks he can set traps and control the board, has no idea that he is about to become the prey. Anna isn't just planning to walk up and shoot these men. That would be far too easy and far too merciful. She wants to systematically dismantle their lives, isolate them, and make them experience the exact same paralyzing fear, desperation, and helplessness that she was forced to endure in that dark cell. If this dark and twisted theory holds true, the aftermath will be an absolute bloodbath that leaves no one untouched. Who loses in this scenario? Everyone who relies on her to be the voice of reason. Anna is a woman who now genuinely feels she has absolutely nothing left to lose. Her family, her stellar reputation, her career, and her old life have all been stripped away from her by these villains. When a master spy with a genius-level intellect decides that she no longer cares about her own survival or her moral standing, she becomes the most dangerous weapon on the planet. The collateral damage of her revenge tour will be catastrophic. Think about the men who are currently terrorizing the campus. Ross thinks he is the apex predator, arrogantly plotting to escape with stolen cold fusion technology and treating everyone around him like disposable pawns on a chessboard. Cassius believes he can simply maintain his fake identity, hide behind his mask, and eventually walk away to say a peaceful goodbye to James. Jens thinks he is the ultimate trap setter, focusing his revenge on his traditional enemies and completely ignoring the shadows creeping up behind him. They are all living in a false reality. They are the ones who will lose everything when Anna begins her psychological torment. Imagine the sheer terror Ross will feel when his secure communications are hijacked, his escape routes are systematically blocked, and he realizes a ghost is breathing down his neck. And what about the people back home who love her? They are currently lying to themselves, blindly believing that she is just trying to find her way back to the light. Valentine might be risking his own freedom to expose Ross to the authorities, completely unaware that Anna no longer cares about official exposure or prison sentences. She wants blood. When the bodies inevitably start dropping and the horrifying psychological traps are sprung, her friends will have to face the devastating truth. The woman they are waiting for no longer exists, and they might find themselves caught in the crossfire of her relentless crusade. The people who benefit from this are non-existent. This is a path of pure, unadulterated destruction that will burn everything to the ground. We may be looking at the beginning of something huge. A storyline that irreversibly changes the landscape of this entire universe and redefines one of its most iconic characters. The line between hero and villain, has been completely erased, replaced by a dark, bloody gray area where only vengeance survives. The truth could be closer than anyone realizes, and it is wrapped in shadows, deception, and deadly intent. A broken, vengeful ghost is actively hunting in the dark, and someone may not be ready for what's coming next. Keep your eyes peeled, because the real nightmare is just beginning.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.